Okay. All right. Okay. So how did you meet your wife?
Actually, I met my wife through my cousin because our birthday is around the same. I'm Libra and she's a Libra. Her birthday is like 5 days after mine. So my cousin tried to go the cheap route instead of, kicking it with me, then go kick it with her like the next week on her birthday. She just was like, well, I could just bring both of y'all out and save money. In which I ended up paying for my own meal anyway, so it didn't matter.
Hmm.
I actually I actually ended up paying for all their meals, just just in general. And it was my birthday weekend, to be honest. So I ended up just paying for everybody's meal. And me and my wife, when we just started talking from that point on, she thought I was cool, but then it was the process of finding out I was young. But it didn't start off with us actually going together. I was trying to hit on her more or less. I just started talking with her, and then when I found out she had kids, because when we was actually finna go out that night, I think I seen her. Yeah, it was her son that was there. He was real young. He was probably like three or well, he was about 4 or 5 because he was getting ready to go into pre-K or school and stuff. So I seen him, and then after that, I was like, girl with kids. I don't know about this one, but the process, we just kept talking. Then I actually told her I want to go out on a date with her, and, me and her, instead of just hanging out with everybody, because we did a couple of hangouts after we went out that first time. I ended up going out again with my cousin, going somewhere. Then her family had like 2 functions at the house, so I went over there and just went to the holiday functions and stuff. It was like 4th of July, some other stuff like that, and we had a good time. And then, like I said, the process, we were talking more and more. Then we started actually trying to date each other after that.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back. You said she realized you were younger. So does that mean your wife is a little bit older?
Yeah, she's 4 years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, was that part of your attraction, the fact that she was probably a little more mature in terms
Yeah.
of personality than the women in your age and younger?
Yeah, I've always dated older women anyway because younger women I found them to be too immature. I mean, I was more mature for my age anyway. Like even in high school, I probably rarely dated half of the women. Like, I mean, not half, but just most of the women at my school. We were friends, we would kick it, but it was to the point where some of them were just so immature at times. It's like I didn't want to deal with
Hmm.
them.
Now that's interesting because I think we gotta, when we have these discussions, we gotta fill in all pieces of the puzzle. And so, as you know, one of the things Kevin advocates and other people advocate is you should get you a 24-year-old or a much younger woman, and but that brings with it its own set of potential perils and issues.
Yeah. I mean, because back in the day, the level of maturity with some women, they it was more of a high regard to dress more appropriate, carry yourself like you're older, because most of the women they kind of seek the older men that way. But nowadays, even as I was growing up, the girls were just they played games more or less, always played around and wasn't more mature. Some of them didn't really act their age, and then the ones that did, like I say, they were more pursuing the older guys, the seniors, the dudes in college, and things of that nature. Because there was a lot of girls in my high school. That's what they were doing. They were pursuing older men. So the ones that were mature, they was more or less pursuing the older men.
You know what's interesting about that is that it seems to flip. So when and I mean I saw that as well in high school. Girls my age, they wanted to talk to guys in college and older. Some of them wound up pregnant, so it was okay then. But we got into a place where um, that's not as accepted. As a matter of fact, many of the women are speaking against it. You're a nasty old man, and you're going to take advantage of her, and it's just interesting how the age dynamic, how the calculus changes as we all get older. Okay. So, what made you decide to ultimately marry your wife?
Well, there was a lot of variables in there. For one, I more or less talked to her, like I said, as a friend before we actually started dating, and even we were on the phone like a lot. And I worked, so my job when I used to work, I was always in and out of town. So it wasn't like the biggest thing to where we was going on dates all the time. So even if I do call her and I'd be like, well, we can plan something out, do something, and we, just went out to eat or went to watch a movie or something. She had to get someone to watch her kids, and the more we started talking, like the when I started talking to her about her baby dad, and she was open with it. She said that at that time her life was kind of going in a certain direction, and she didn't know what to do. So ultimately she dealt with this guy, nice man, kind of swayed her because he just kind of wanted to deal with her, so he cleaned himself up, did real well around her. So she accepted him, being a nice guy. And that was the opening that I started letting her vet about certain things in her life. And she told me that, she had kids with the guy ultimately, and the guy wasn't acting right. They broke up. Then she tried to give him another shot because she was like, well, I got a child and that is the kid. So it's better if he's around the child. Had another kid and it didn't work. But my whole process was the whole time while she told me everything, I was documenting all that stuff. And then before the marriage, I wanted to speak with him. So I actually talked
Wow.
to him and everything, and we discussed, just what's going on, how you doing, and he was very cordial, tried to be the good guy and everything, and I would, just be like, just hey man, I'm around your kids, and because the whole process came up with about disciplining the kids, and I grew up with my grandparents, and older people they didn't take no nonsense. So kids never ran the house. That was always their rule, and I stuck to that as my rule. So I explained to him, explained to her, this was my process. If you don't want me touching your kids, I might as well don't be around them. Even with him, he was kind of hesitant about it. Even with us being together, not married, but it was more or less like, what could he do? Because he was basically in a different state, and even if a situation did come up, it was more like he wasn't that active until I came around because that's when he started trying to call more and be a little more active because I was there. But other than that, he wasn't. So I kind of seen the process on how he was, how she was, and she was generally telling the truth about it because that's my biggest thing. When you're vetting these women, they will tell you anything to get with you. They will tell you all the sugar and spice and everything nice, you know, just to be with you. It's not even approaching the marriage part. It's just to have someone to be with them, validating them or whatever their situation is. And so that was my biggest thing because, like I said, I've dealt with I think probably a few baby moms before, and they always would say one thing about the baby dad and he'll come with another approach. And when you put those two together, you'll see who's lying, who's telling the truth, and who's sugarcoating this and what. And so ultimately, that's why I broke off a lot of relationship with certain women because of that factor. Because like I said, if you would treat him like that, then you would treat me like that. And so even if we did have a kid, I'll be baby daddy number 2 or 3. And that was one of my biggest things with my wife that she did have kids by the same man because if she had, 2 kids by 2 different men, that was going to be more of a hassle because then you would have, not only these 2 men you have to worry about and their families, then I have to worry about her family. So that's three grandparents, 3 auntie, ex, all within that mixture of family I got to deal with, and that's too much of a hassle. I dealt with that with one lady, and I was like, I'm done with that. Like, I'm not. I got to the point where I didn't even want to date women with kids,
Hmm.
and I think she actually came right when that tipping point happened because the woman I was dating previously before her, she had no kids, she was single, but her life was going up and down. And my thing is, when I see certain things within that relationship, I kind of open up and just let it be known. These are the things that are going on. If you want to fix them or you're willing to work with me, we can do this. But if not, I can't deal with you. you know, and that was the process with my wife, and we kind of worked at that, and everything opened up for itself.
Okay. So I'm gonna read a couple of these comments here, and then I'm gonna come back. David Lorenzo Glover says, "Say that again, brother. We never know what we will get out of the counselor's corner." Sometimes there are bullets flying in there, man. Denise says, "I'm glad men are speaking up about their preferences. Women tend to lie to each other to create or maintain good feelings." Thank you for being here, Denise. And DJ Renzo says, "No matter how gingerly you approach this subject, it's gonna hit some people in their feels." Yeah,